Disclaimer. The video serves informational and entertainment purpose only. The content is considered speculative and should not be treated as confirmed fact. We encourage you to conduct your research and form your conclusion.
Have you ever considered that Jamie Lloyd is doing a bit? What I mean is, Evita started previews tonight, and it seems like Rachel Zegler spends the majority of the show in a black slip and then starts Act 2 singing on the balcony, and the show ends with Diego in black underwear covered in, well, it looks like blue icing, but it's giving Tom Francis at the end of Sunset. I'm seeing it next month, so, not judging it. But I'm starting to be like, do we think Jamie Lloyd is making fun of us? He's sort of like, what if I strip a musical down to its core and then I cast someone famous? Will people still reward it and give me props / pay lots of money to give me? I know you're wrong. I love Sunset. I think Sunset is brilliant.
It was supposed to be her grand return, a triumphant comeback to the stage, wrapped in elegance and the promise of thunderous applause. Instead, just minutes into Rachel Zegler's Evita debut on the West End, audiences weren't cheering. They were walking out. Some demanded refunds, others called it a scam. And when one of Britain's most respected actors, Sir Ian McKellen, publicly called the entire thing ludicrous, the internet knew. This wasn't just a flop, it was a warning. A viral storm that exposed what critics are now labeling one of the most out-of-touch performances ever seen on a West End stage. At its center, a self-proclaimed woke musical, a 250-pound screen broadcast, and a balcony stunt that allegedly had nothing to do with honoring Eva Peron and everything to do with Rachel Zegler's image. This was only the beginning of a meltdown that would rock the very foundations of modern theater.
I wish the best for Rachel Zegler in her singing career. Please stop acting.
Now it looks like the damage control is continuing. It's almost like someone finally gave Rachel Zegler a script to use.
She had a beautiful moment in a reaction, but that's the only good moment she had, in my opinion.
This isn't complete 180 damage control. I don't know what is.
Funny thing is, my favorite scene of hers in this movie, she wasn't talking. Is that ironic?
Has told this woman exactly what to say. The problem is, this is too little, too late.
A famous millionaire in her early 20s, she's completely out of control and out of touch with how things actually are. I can't be the only one that thinks it's very odd that she's going to get paid hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, to play make-believe and then also demand for money to come to her years after the fact.
Before a single note was sung, the controversy had already begun. Patrons, showing up to London's prestigious Palladium Theatre for Evita, were greeted not with fanfare, but with a sign, one that warned of loud music, haze, strobe lights, and themes of a political nature. At first glance, it seemed like a standard precaution, but for many, especially theater purists, the warning felt like something else entirely, a red flag. This was their first hint that this wouldn't be just any musical. Almost immediately, critics and attendees began labeling it the latest in a growing trend of what they called woke theater. Sensory warnings, political disclaimers, emotional cautions. Critics argued they were turning powerful art into soft, sanitized messaging. And it wasn't just random audience members raising eyebrows. Sir Ian McKellen, one of the most respected voices in British theater, publicly called the warning ludicrous. In his words, theater is meant to challenge you. It's supposed to provoke, inspire, even shock. So why the need for a warning sign? His words echoed across social media. Memes spread like wildfire. Imagine warning people that Evita, a musical about a controversial political figure, might be political. The stage was being set, not for a performance, but for a showdown of ideologies. This was just the prelude to the storm that was brewing. But if the trigger warnings raised eyebrows, what happened during the actual performance would take things to a whole new level. Just as the backlash around the woke warning began to simmer, Evita introduced a twist, one that had never been done before in any major production of the musical. In the middle of the show, Rachel Zegler herself stepped out onto a real balcony, high above the crowds gathered outside the theater. Dressed in full costume, she sang, "Don't Cry for Me, Argentina, Live to the Street," while the paying audience inside the theater watched her performance on a screen. Yes, you heard that right. Fans who spent up to £500 on premium seats at London's iconic Palladium weren't watching Zegler in person during the show's most iconic number. They were watching a live stream. Meanwhile, tourists and casual passersby on the street below, got the real deal, for free. Almost instantly, fans who paid top dollar began posting furious reactions online. Pay £200 to see a projection? What a joke, one person wrote. Another added, why are the people outside getting the star experience while we're stuck watching a screen? The sentiment spread fast. This wasn't about art, many believed. This was about Rachel Zegler. It was engineered to go viral, to flood TikTok with fan-shot angles, to paint Zegler as a woman of the people. One comment summed it up best. This wasn't Evita. This was influencer theater. The damage was done. Fans inside felt cheated. Critics outside saw through the spectacle. And as the reviews started to roll in, the backlash only got worse.
Rachel Zegler definitely didn't get the most love in movie theaters this year, where Snow White movie cost Disney $250 million, so she decided to pivot her career back to doing theater, but now she's getting hate for that as well. And now Rachel Zegler is living in London doing the play Evita, where she is playing the lead, and there's been a lot of iconic actresses to have that part before, like Elaine Paige and Madonna. The play Evita, probably the most famous song is Don't Cry for Me Argentina, which was performed by Madonna in the 1996 movie that actually got her a Golden Globe win. So now Rachel Zegler's performing, and she is doing an amazing job, but a lot of people don't like how her and the play decided to organize this. But they've organized it so instead of Rachel Zegler singing inside the theater for the people who paid money for the ticket, she actually goes outside and sings on the balcony where people who didn't pay anything, and they've actually gotten crowds of over 600 people. But the problem is the people actually in the theater are really pissed off about it because tickets are going for as high as $500, but they're actually just watching a live stream of Rachel Zegler singing for a bunch of people who didn't pay anything. And to be fair, this wasn't entirely Rachel Zegler's decision, but she did support the idea saying it makes the play for everyone. Well, except for actually the people who paid money to see it, which is kind of a problem. But with that, I'm Charles Barlow. Please subscribe to learn something.
To truly grasp the full fury of the backlash that engulfed Evita, we have to look at the storm that had been building around Rachel Zegler for years. She burst onto the scene, a Hollywood darling, handpicked by Steven Spielberg himself for West Side Story. Hailed as a prodigy, a fresh, diverse, socially conscious face, the industry was obsessed. But that glow, it didn't last long. After her breakout, Zegler was cast in the highly anticipated but instantly controversial live-action Snow White remake, and that's when things took a dark turn. Instead of celebrating the role, she made headlines by tearing down the original. In one now infamous interview, she called the 1937 film weird and dated, even suggesting Prince Charming was a guy who literally stalks her. Her comments went viral for all the wrong reasons. Disney fans, feminists, even neutral audiences accused her of disrespecting a cherished legacy while promoting what felt like a soulless rebrand. The backlash was so intense, some speculated Disney considered shelving the film entirely. This wasn't just a misstep, it was a pattern. Zegler's reputation as a girl boss gone rogue began to snowball. From red carpet quotes declaring herself the future of feminism, to behind-the-scenes rumors of diva behavior, the narrative shifted. Audiences began to see her not as a grounded rising star, but as someone out of touch, a manufactured icon trying too hard to appear relatable. And so, when Evita was announced, many already had their minds made up. They weren't coming to see a reinvention. They were coming to see if the girl who lectured audiences about outdated fairy tales could carry one of theater's most iconic roles. It was a test she may have already failed, before the curtain even rose. But the real division wasn't just about Rachel's past. It was about what happened once the reviews started pouring in. Critics were divided. Some lauded Zegler's vocals as flawless and unshakable, praising her commanding presence. For defenders, the stripped-down production allowed her raw talent to shine. But then came the other side, the much louder, more relentless wave of criticism. Many called the show soulless, accusing it of stripping all the life, romance, and visual majesty out of Evita. One review labeled the set design a blank box with a balcony and called Zegler's performance hollow cosplay. Another slammed the entire production as TikTok theater, designed for clips, not substance. The biggest complaints didn't just target Rachel. They aimed directly at director Jamie Lloyd's decision to remove all glamour. Gone were the lavish costumes, the sweeping set changes. In their place, bare scaffolding, floodlights, and a single balcony. Critics argued it robbed the story of its soul. And then, the darkest rumor surfaced. According to alleged crew whispers and anonymous theater gossip accounts, the iconic balcony moment wasn't a creative decision. It was pushed by Rachel Zegler herself. The reason? Image repair. Insiders claimed Zegler was furious after early walkouts and hostile fan reactions, and rather than issue a public statement, She allegedly insisted on doing something big, something that would go viral, soften public perception, and paint her as someone for the people. But here's where it gets grim. One unverified backstage source alleges Zegler didn't refer to the people below as adoring fans. She called them the losers, as in, let's do it on the balcony for the losers outside. At least they'll get to see me for a little while. The quote, whether real or not, quickly made the rounds. It felt believable, and that alone was enough to fuel outrage. The backlash brewing against woke theater was now locked onto its newest symbol, and Rachel Zegler. She was right in the middle of it.
But it's hard. And it's lonely. It's very lonely. I just know that if that loneliness can exist, so can other things, and I will be okay.
Is to look at other people's acting, particularly in the company of a like-minded friend. If you go and see something at the Playhouse here and then work out afterwards why it was rubbish or why it wasn't. And if you can't afford the theatre, go to the movies. If you can't afford the movies, watch TV together. Why is she so good? How's that achieved? Well, you can freeze frame and talk about it and learn hugely. And equally from a performance you don't think is any good. And if you don't fancy doing that, well, just sit on a bus and look at people. Because I'll let you into a secret, all the world's a stage and all the men and women merely players.
And here, the bitter punchline descends. A twist so calculated, it chills you to the bone. Because amidst all the outrage, all the walkouts, all the accusations of woke theater, one uncomfortable question began to echo across forums and comment sections. Was this the plan all along? Was this entire chaotic spectacle a brilliant marketing strategy? From a PR standpoint, the rollout was flawless. The woke warning generated outrage before the curtains even opened. The balcony stunt delivered viral visuals, tailor-made for social media. And Rachel Zegler, already infamous for her off-screen controversies, became the face of a show that, whether you loved it or hated it, everyone was suddenly talking about. The production wasn't relying on 5-star reviews or glowing playbills. It was relying on virality, on outrage, on people arguing in the comments, stitching clips on TikTok, and reposting photos of Zegler waving from the Palladium balcony like a modern Eva Peron. Critics of the production accused director Jamie Lloyd of prioritizing message over meaning, arguing that the minimalism wasn't artistic, it was cost-saving, that the stripped-back visuals weren't profound, they were lazy, and worst of all, that the political overtones were a mere distraction from the fact that the emotional substance had been drained out of the story. Yet others saw it differently, praising Zegler's willingness to take risks, to shed the glamour, to make people uncomfortable. After all, isn't that what Eva Peron did? Still, even those sympathetic to the production had to admit, it all felt incredibly calculated. The warning signs, the bare-bones set, the balcony, the casting of Zegler herself, a figure already at the center of cultural war discourse. Nothing felt random. Everything felt intentional. And that's where the debate truly ignited. Was this brilliant marketing or performative nonsense? A radical artistic reinvention? Or a desperate attempt to cover a weak script with controversy? The truth likely sits somewhere in between. But for some fans, the damage was already done, and the backlash brewing against woke theater was now locked onto its newest symbol. And Rachel Zegler, she was right in the middle of it all. What started as criticism of one performance quickly snowballed into something much, much bigger.
Someone who works in marketing, there's nothing I love more than like a good gimmick or something that gets you hooked or excited for a Broadway production. And it's exactly what The Walk did for Sunset Boulevard for me, even more so than just the star power that this show had. And obviously the legendary Andrew Lloyd Webber music that was coming along with it. It's exactly what the balcony scene is doing for me for Evita right now, which I mean, if you want to call it Sunset 2.0, good, because I am a Sunset fan. I've seen it 4 times, going on 5. I'd see it many more if I could. And I love Rachel Zegler. I got to see her in Romeo and Juliet earlier this year. And so me and that same friend that I saw Romeo and Juliet with, we were originally going to go to Spain this summer, but guess what? Spain's going to be there forever. But what's not going to be there forever? Evita on the West End. That's only there for 12 weeks. So we'll see you in London in August, everyone. Because we booked them tickets, we booked those flights. We're making some plans. We're making a week of it. We're going to have ourselves a time, a little girls' trip. Anyone else doing this? Anyone else going to be out there at the same time? Let me know. Or if you have London recs, send them our way.
In the wake of Evita's explosive opening, Rachel Zegler finds herself at a crossroads, one that could define the rest of her career. For some, this backlash will simply pass. Another news cycle, another controversy, and the noise eventually fades. But for others, the damage might be far more permanent, because Evita wasn't just a play, it was a spotlight, and it revealed everything the public had been waiting to judge. Zegler was supposed to be untouchable, a Spielberg discovery, a Disney princess, a symbol of modern talent fused with Gen Z sensibilities. But after West Side Story underperformed, after Snow White became a culture war punching bag, and now, with Evita stirring division in the heart of theater culture, that image is cracking. Hollywood may now see her as too risky. Fans are already deeply divided. And even those who support her artistry admit her public presence often overshadows the very performances she delivers. She's not just an actress anymore. She's a symbol, and not always the one she wants to be. But here's the twist. Controversy doesn't always destroy careers. Sometimes it builds them. Sometimes the backlash becomes the brand. Some believe Zegler might just lean into the chaos, double down, and embrace her role as the face of this cultural battleground. After all, whether audiences are cheering or booing, they're still watching. And maybe that's the point, because in today's entertainment world, outrage and applause often sound the same when filtered through an algorithm. And Zegler, knowingly or not, just positioned herself right at the intersection of art, identity, and viral spectacle. So, what happens now? Will Evita redeem itself through sold-out shows and late-stage critical reappraisal? Or will it become a cautionary tale for every celebrity who flies too close to the culture war? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain, Rachel Zegler isn't fading quietly. And if you want to stay updated on everything unfolding in this wild drama, from West End meltdowns to Hollywood backlashes, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications, because the next act might be even messier. And that's the tea for today, my little gossip gremlins. If you enjoyed this drama buffet, don't forget to hit that like button like it's your ex's new partner's Instagram. Aggressively and with zero shame. Beauty. Subscribe to Fame Files so you never miss a single scandal, meltdown, or red carpet disaster. I'm literally serving up hot gossip every single day, even if my Wi-Fi begs me to stop. And listen, be a doll and tap that bell too, okay? Because your girl Macy's got bills to pay, celeb egos to roast, and a grocery cart full of overpriced almond milk that won't buy itself. Shopping cart money. So until next time, stay nosy, stay fabulous, and remember, I spill it so you don't have to sip in silence. Bye.